Hi guys, I hope everyone's well. By the time you watch this, I'll be on my Christmas break and all classes would have finished. And I normally do a New Year's message that I blog on my website. But instead I thought I'd just do a video instead and see how that goes. First of all, we've had an amazing year. And I want to thank you all from the bottom of my heart for being with me this year. We've had some absolutely incredible sessions. I think most of you would agree. And for some of you, I know this year, especially this year, has been quite transformational for you. So well done you. Well impressed. As a teacher, all I can do is open the doors, show you the way. But you're the ones who have to do it. You're the ones who have to walk through. So, a brilliant effort from you guys who have transformed yourselves. So well done. So, a little bit of admin first. As most of you know, we're changing classes and changing locations due to our hall being refurbished for 4 months. So the Worcester classes have changed from a Tuesday evening at 7 p.m. It's a slightly earlier time. That's at Powick Parish Hall. The day class is moving to a Thursday, and that's at Kind Folk Restaurant or Cafe. I'm not sure how they describe themselves. But that's the old water pump house in Gullivant Park on it might even be Waterworks Road. I'm not quite sure of the address, but it's all on my website. So check out my website for all class details. And the Wednesday one in Pershore at 10 o'clock is the same. That's not changing. So I wish you all the best for Christmas, but I just wanted to leave you something to think about over the Christmas period. And that is the illusionary world that we live in. And it is illusionary. It's not as we see it, or as shall I say, as we perceive to see it is more correct. So all the great masters and teachers have mentioned this or tried to show this in their way. I'm going to try and keep it a little bit more scientific because I think that's a little bit more helpful nowadays, rather than go really woo-woo and or quote religious texts or scriptures and all that sort of thing. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but it all depends on where we are. But so the illusionary world. The world is not as we believe it to be, or as it's seen or perceived to be. So we don't see with our eyes. We see with our brains. So what do I mean by that? So you've got light that comes in through the optical nerve. This light is in a form of a wave, and this wave can be seen as information or data, no different to your Wi-Fi going to your devices at home, where within that wave carries so much information, and then that information gets produced onto the screen of the computer or the phone. It's absolutely no different. This light wave information goes in through the optical nerve, and your brain decodes it, the information. So whatever you're seeing in front of you is not actually in front of you, it's within your brain. It's quite interesting, isn't it? Yeah. So we all sort of know this, but we never really think about it. And whatever we see, our eyes are our dominant sense. So whatever we see is the world that we perceive. But it even goes further than that. So there's only so much information that our eyes can take in, so much light information. And what our brain does is filters and fills in the gaps. And that is what we perceive life to be. This filtering, this filling in of the gaps is all due to our beliefs, emotions, and past experiences. So that's what fills in the gaps. So we have a certain amount of information that comes in through light, and then the brain filters whatever it needs to filter to create a reality, a perceived reality. It's not true. And that's called predictive processing. It's a neuroscience thing. So to sort of prove this, I can post this image, whether I will or not, I don't know. But I've got an image on my phone, a picture that I could post. If anybody wants to see it, then I could post it to you, put it that way. And it's a pixelated image of a Coke can. So it's obviously sort of blurred out, but it's quite obvious from the light coming into your optical nerve and your brain processing. You can see that it's in the shape of a can, and it's got Coca-Cola written on it, and it's a red can. But when you zoom into the image is not red at all, it's just black and white. So what's happened? Your reality that you're perceiving, that you're experiencing, is not real. Your brain has filled in the gaps through your conditioning. So we all know what a Coke can looks like. We've drank a billion of them. Not that we should have, but we all have probably drank a billion of it, cans of Coke. And so your brain has put in the colour red. But when you zoom into the image is only in black and white. It's quite interesting, isn't it? But the red is very dominant within the image because our brain has filled in the gaps. The illusionary world. Predictive processing. So when two people are, say you're taking your partner for a romantic beach walk, sunset, and you're there sat on the beach or on a rock or whatever, and you're looking at the sunset, the beautiful sunset, and you're having this moment. You're sharing this moment, but you're not really sharing the same moment at all. You're seeing two completely different realities depending on what your belief, emotions, and past experiences have been. So you're having completely different experiences. Sometimes they might be similar. There's only so much light that can come in, and so on. So for instance, your pets, maybe you've got a dog. So your dog is having a greater experience than we're having, a much greater expansive experience than we're having, because your dog can see better than us. Your dog can hear better than us, and your dog can smell better than us. So three of those senses, just those senses, are such greatly expanded more than ours. So they're having a greater, more wild and expansive experience than we are. Human experience is quite pathetic compared to the animal kingdom. We are pathetic creatures. The only thing that makes us excel, if you want to put it that way, if you'd classify it as excelling, is our prefrontal cortex, our processing ability. That is it. The way we see the world is really, really limited. So if we take light, we can only see 0.04% of what light's existence is really there, which is really quite pathetic. And out of that 0.04% of light, that is only a percentage of what we know to be out there, like ultraviolet light, infrared light, and so on. So if it's only 0.04% of what we already know, then we can guarantee that you could times that by 1,000, because it's quite obvious that we can only know what's out there through technology, and our technology is limited. So when our technology improves, what we know to exist out there is a lot more. So you could times it by 1,000, a billion, a trillion. So we are really pathetic creatures. Yet that makes up our whole world. That 0.04% is how we perceive and live our life and have experiences from that. And it's not great as far as an experience as such. Yeah. So when you go into meditation, when you have the ability to slow the brain down, stabilize the mind, all those thoughts going through, so when the thoughts start to dissolve away a little bit, then what actually happens is that our world becomes greater, more expansive, because our senses have the ability to expand more than what they're saying. So you see more colors, you hear more sounds, you experience life in a greater way. So you'll find when you do meditation and the mind becomes more stabilized and still, that the colors of a flower or a tree pops more. The world becomes a lot more, you can hear more because the mind's quiet. You can really hear a lot more than what you would normally perceive, and so on. And this goes for all the senses. So when somebody touches your leg, yeah, or something touches your leg, the sensory nose of the skin sends a signal up the nervous system to your brain. So you're not directly experiencing whatever it is that has touched your leg. You're only experiencing what the brain has decoded to have happened. And of course, if you're paralyzed, let's say from the waist down, and someone touches your leg, you have absolutely zero experience of that. So everything is perceived, and it's all happening within inside your brain. The only way you would know someone's touched your leg if you're paralyzed from the waist down is if one of the 4 other senses picks up on it, which will then generate a different experience. Yeah, so you see where I'm going with it. Yeah. So everything is perceived. You're only getting so much electrical information coming in, and then your brain filters and fills in the gaps of what's left, depending on your beliefs, emotions, and past experiences. So that's what makes up your reality, which isn't a reality at all. It's a perceived reality. So if you're struggling with life, let's say you due to your beliefs, emotions, and past experiences is probably the reason why, because we're all really sort of having the same sort of light information, even though you are perceiving it slightly different. We're all hearing a similar type of information coming in through the ears, and we're all experiencing a similar thing through touch. But it's your brain decoding and filling in the gaps that makes the biggest difference. If Coke cans were in Australia green, then the image that you would have seen would be a green Coke can. So you're perceiving your whole reality generally through your conditioning. Not all of us have had the experience of a child which is full of love. So some of us have had a childhood which has been devoid of love. So then your brain will fill the gaps in, and the world will be devoid of love. And you'll experience depression and anxiety, fearfulness and separation. You won't be able to connect properly to other humans. and so on. So this is how your world will be perceived. But it is a choice, because this perceived world is false. It's from your beliefs, emotions, and past experiences. So you can change it, because it's through the subconscious. You can change it. So if you trained your brain to look for beauty, if you trained your brain to look for kindness, if you trained your brain to look for compassion, then those are the things you start to see and start to feel and start to notice. And it completely changes your life. It becomes you. It becomes your life. You don't see the world as it is. You see the world as you are. And that can be changed. And I know it could be changed because I've changed it 3 times in my life, significantly. So the way I see the world now is completely and utterly different to the scary, fearful world that I saw as a 10-year-old. So we need to put the work in. I love you all. I shall see you in the new year, hopefully, and we can continue on with our practice. God bless. Merry Christmas.